My mother described me as a little guy who liked to look and watch and think about stuff. I was kind of always a little bit on the periphery. I liked to watch and observe. My parents, their library was filled with art books, archaeology, science, and I just remember opening this giant book of Leonardo da Vinci and have it splayed open with his beautiful sepia drawings. Those are still in my mind. I was my dad's bowman when we would canoe on rivers or lakes. And I loved it because I could feel him on the starboard and I was on the other side pulling, and we'd switch. But I could look down and see the swirls of water. Those are Leonardo da Vinci, right there. The swirls and eddies are exactly what he drew in Silver Point on vellum. And my dad told me about that. So there was an encouragement from early days to explore, be curious, and it naturally came out in art. My father and mother talked about Remington and Russell and the current top illustrators of the 70s and 60s that were legendary to us. So it was just discussed around the dinner table of art and what you could be. And they never told me to go be an electrician first and then do your hobby of art. They said, if it's what you believe in and you're passionate about, pursue your passions. And so the best gift I had was having encouraging parents. One day, my mother decided on her own to just walk into Merrimack Community College and ask the art professor if her son, still in high school, could attend some figure drawing classes, unbeknownst to me. And soon, I was leaving Kirkwood High School half day and going to draw the figure at a college level. To draw the figure at an early age really set a foundation, because for a representational artist, the most difficult thing is to draw the human figure. I mean, we all have one, right? So we know its intimate gestures and forms. So with the slightest change of face or hands, you can alter an expression. So to get an early start on how to do that was invaluable. Going on to the Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, California was a whole different level. It's the leading design school in the world, incredibly competitive, but you bond with some people through really difficult assignments. After years of intense instruction at the college, graduating with honors, just thrown out into the streets of California, literally then, because there was no internet. You just call for an appointment at Universal Studios, Warner Brothers, Disney, and just hope you can get in. And gradually, to my surprise, freelance work started to come my way. Through some awards, got representation in New York, and that was key because the publishing industry was there, and enough work came in to where I could survive and even thrive with just freelance work. During school, you know, you're in an apartment building in California and you have lots of neighbors and young people that became my friends. Then I graduated from school and I hadn't seen those friends for a while. It started to get so busy. But then in a grocery store, I run into a beautiful, tall, German friend of mine, Petra, and we just started, hey, you want to go to the beach? Yeah. You want to go to the mountains? Yeah. She was a friend of mine. So we hung out, but that developed into more than that. And it was wonderful starting to fall in love with your friend. Petra was always supportive of what I did and understanding. And her background was more in the arts from Germany, opera, music, culinary things, travel, going to museums. She had all that from her parents and from her background. So it meshed with mine. And so she was always able to discuss things with me and support and encourage. Once we were married, Petra and I, we started, as most people do, think of that nest building stage and thought about life in California, buying a house, starting a family, and it just didn't feel right. It was too megalopolis, and I had other goals for my career. And so we took a chance and came back to my home state of Missouri, which in a way felt like going back to a time before, but really it wasn't. A lot of my clients were Anheuser-Busch and Ralston Purina from St. Louis, my hometown. And so we had decided to make a life back in Missouri, and career-wise, it was a wise move. When we had our first child, Micah, we realized, no, this was the right place to go. She had her grandparents nearby, cousins, and what I suddenly began to discover going out into the landscape of Missouri was this beautiful landscape I'd forgotten. Beautiful undulations, like Thomas Hart Benton would say, the bumps and hollows of these shapes. And they started to get into my work when I started to do a few landscapes just for myself. I was at the time really getting to riding horses, and we owned a horse, although it was stabled far out in this place called Labadie. And we thought, I'm gonna go look out there. So we began to think about moving out, and we just made the leap. I got into birds, I got into ecology. My wife started to garden. We could watch our little girl grow up in this Eden, and then we had our second child, Demi. It was an old school way of living with help from neighbors. And so that started to get into our thinking. And so suddenly I had this rich body of stories to tell, and I thought, I'm an illustrator. I love the landscape of Missouri. Now we live within it, on these hills butting up against the Missouri River. All the history that's gone up and down that river, it all started to come as something for me to tell. I was starting to introduce figures into a landscape to create a tableau, a storytelling, almost setting a stage, literally, of actors instructing the viewer where to go with the story. It just all kind of came together. And so I started to leave illustration to create paintings of my own of local scenes that I could introduce to galleries. The first gallery I introduced them to was Codner Gallery in St. Louis in Ladue. And they accepted it readily, and they started to sell, to my surprise. So I thought, I'm onto something here. My parents laid the foundation for all the kids in nature. The song of birds, the way the wind goes, meteorology, landscape, travel. And so if you take those elements into a painting, whether it be New Mexico, California coast, or Missouri, it starts to build a flavor of that region. That's how I started to build stories of a regional place. It doesn't really matter what part of the country it is. There's a regionalism to all areas. In early life, I was drawn to a certain style of things. And there was a certain early 20th century style of art, Leyendecker, Howard Pyle, N.C. Wyeth, that just gripped me. That was my mentorship, really. I wanted to stay with a paintbrush, do it kind of old school, try to keep an eye on the people I admired from that early 20th century. And I paid for it a little bit by not getting the sweet assignments, but I was okay with that. I wanted to struggle through and stay true to what I saw and what I wanted to do. Through some success placing my paintings in the local gallery here in St. Louis, I was discovered by a gallery in Kansas City, then called American Legacy Gallery. Now this was operated by Georgia and Jack Olson, and he'd been in this trade forever, and he saw my pieces and instantly recognized something about them that others had not seen, and I didn't even recognize myself. He started to see that it was the continuation of a story of those early 20th century artists that I mentioned before. He saw that I was the legacy of those people that I hadn't even seen myself. So he was a mentor to me, and when Missouri Life magazine approached me to do a book about my work, of course this was flattering, but they wanted to know what would the title be. And so Jack Olson and myself came up with New Regionalism. It's new, there's a new way to see it, but it has a foothold in the people that came before. So I'm standing on the shoulders of giants and hopefully extending this with a new way of seeing. I hope if my work plays any part at all, it's about preservation. Let's preserve together the beauty of Missouri and open space. Wonderful people have come to me and asked me to do just that through organizations they've started, and I'm so happy to be part of that and so honored that they would reach out to me to say, Bryan, you paint what we're trying to save. And so that's what I hope I can do for them. One of the messages that I've enjoyed conveying in my paintings are about the people that came before. Talking with some of those people I met in Labadie who have now passed, and they had things to tell me about what their great-grandfather did when they settled this place. I would like people to remember those things, or the Native Americans that came before. In some woodlands here in Missouri, it's very easy to imagine those people who came before, and I want those people to be remembered. So I know there's a lot of romanticism about creating art, representational paintings, that you might just stand in front of a blank canvas, stare at it a while, light your pipe, and then start painting and suddenly this thing appears. It's really not that way at all. Being an illustrator and really hearkening back to Michelangelo, it's old school. You do lots of preparatory work. I think people might be surprised that there's more preparatory work than the actual painting of the final painting. So I work as an illustrator. I start with a thumbnail sketch in my sketchbook that's really not meant for anyone else. That develops sketch by sketch by sketch larger layers of vellum to create this wonderful armature just in pencil. That then is developed into a study, a painted study, where the colors can be mapped out. Because when you're trying to do a very complicated painting with a story to tell, there's a lot to map out before you are successful, because the slightest change in line or gesture or form can throw the story into a different direction. So it's very planned out. People don't realize that there's a lot to do beforehand before you get to the final painting. As an illustrator, you have a bandwidth of tools. And I had a bandwidth of tools, meaning I could go very realistic or more stylized. And the great thing is, I want it to be realistic enough for my viewers, for the people to follow me into that landscape, literally walk into that scene with me, but then expressive, stylized enough to where I could take them to another place. Sometimes when people come to me with a project, I can't believe it, that someone wants to give me this gift of a project and they trust me. To me, it's sometimes unbelievable. But I think If they can see the legacy of my work, 40 years of things to look at, they can see there's a track record. I can show them how something's made, and it's collaborative. I tell them, you're the art director, I'm the illustrator, we'll work on this together, nothing's gonna be a surprise, and that's a wonderful working relationship. So the trust is built. But yes, I'm amazed when somebody walks in the door of the gallery and says, I want you to do a painting of my children. To me, that's a lot of trust, and I really am humbled and honored by that. People may find it hard to believe, but after all these years, I'm still scared of a blank canvas. Getting the sketch down helps, getting a base to start with, but then I still have days when the tree is not looking like a tree. Or I've just commissioned to be painting an ocean scene. It's been a while since I painted an ocean scene, and it was a challenge. And believe me, when you're doing a 6-foot wide painting, there are still, after all these years, moments of frustration and thinking, I'm terrible. I'm the worst artist that has ever been. I'm a poser. What am I doing? But there's another voice in my head that says, you've done this before. You can do it. You move forward, and step by step, get back there. So there still are frustrations in almost all paintings, and usually those are the ones that really I'm most proud of, because there was some hurdle to get over, something new that I had to see how to express it. This regionalism, I don't know where it's heading. It's not going to be in the same tools I use. What I do feels very archaic, but I know that stories, local stories, we'll call it regionalism, but it'll have a completely new and exciting set of tools that I don't even know. And that's wonderful. Young people are going to discover a completely different way to say these same things that I'm doing, but carry it way farther than I am. To get to this point, I didn't do this alone. My wife supported me, encouraged me, stood with me through thin times and thick, and there have been both. And my parents launched me on a path. They said, don't swerve away from something you love, stick to it, you'll be great. My brother and sisters were supportive, and they're artists in their own right, and so we kind of all did this together, and so many people supported me and believed in my work along the way, bought it, to my surprise. My mentor, Jack Olson, who told me that, yes, I'm a regionalist, and I should stick with that and create my own voice in that. So many people to thank, it's impossible. When I get up in the morning, I just want to get to work and create something. It's about just making something with your hands, and the delight of making something beautiful, if you can, and then sharing it with others to say, look what I made and what I'm trying to express. Do you feel that? The same thing I'm feeling about it, or to my surprise, and what's even better is, no, they feel something beyond what I even intended. That's fantastic, and I'm so lucky to be able to do that. I can't believe I'm still doing it after all these years.